Thanks a lot to Radhakrishnan University and the Equal Project for hosting me on your course schedule. I've been told to talk about digital humanities. Before I do so, I will kind of amend the topic slightly and say that I'm more comfortable with the digital humanities, adding the definite article before digital humanities, precisely because I do not see the digital humanities as being just a thing. Rather, I see them, whatever, as a multiplicity. So, I will be kind of taking you through a presentation which I call Digital Humanities, or What You Will, as you know, after Shakespeare's play, Twelfth Night, or What You Will. And the pun is certainly there. And as I'm kind of talking about exploring the boundaries of DH, but the boundaries for me are non-boundaries. So if you travel in the digital map from MySpace to the ocean of subculture to the noob sea to the ocean of memes, the boundaries remain non-boundaries for me. Just to introduce digital humanities, I need to talk a little bit about its history, where it came from. I've used something called a Google Ngram, which you must all be familiar with. The Ngram just allows you to see how much a term, phrase has been used over the years, how much it has been Googleable. Digital humanities has kind of now become the in term, rather new media studies, because people have started seeing the problem of using the phrase new media. So just have a quick description of what new media is, and I'll just quote from Nick Kane and Beer, which is the apparent newness of computer technology has been disputed on the grounds that there are important points of continuity between analog and digital media. Here again I refer to Bolter and Grusin. And the initial distinction that was drawn between digital communications vis-a-vis older analog technologies does not really hold in such watertight ways. Ergo, digital humanities. But what is digital humanities? Digital humanities is for me quite nebulous, to be honest. I'm always kind of at a loss when I'm asked to talk about it. The problem for me is that, let me look at a quote by Susan Schreibman, Ray Siemens, and Siemens and Ray Unsworth. And digital humanities has broadened its reach. Yet it has remained in touch with the goals that have animated it from the outset, using information technology to illuminate the human record and bring an understanding of the human record to bear on the development and the use of information technology. I have a problem with this because of the phrase I've highlighted, illuminate the human record. It's almost kind of like the Renaissance humanists with the illuminations and this clear idea of what the human is coming back again. It was all good, but it doesn't really work now. Really. So there is this understanding of the importance of the record. The digital humanities, the purpose of digital humanities is to illuminate the human record, use information technology to illuminate the human record. I have a little postcard here. It says old words, new tools, right? Which is the text creation partnership. Some people at the Baudelaire. I totally disagree with it. It's not old words and new tools, really, because the tools and the words and the system, they work with each other. They kind of influence each other. They shape each other, which is something which Derrida discusses as original technicity, which I'm not going to go into too much detail on just now. Maybe if we have a little more time. But I do not see digital humanities as illuminating the human record, because just illuminating the record is for me problematic as on kind of when you're using a grand phrase such as the digital humanities, and be human as understood here is kind of very straightforward and simple. Human, as we understand, I'm sure you will agree, is more complicated than, well, a thing that can be fixed very easily and clearly. So I go to Matthew Kirschenbaum's definition. Actually, it's unfair to call it a definition because he doesn't make it as definite as Shadman, etc. Where he says that at University of Maryland we support work from Shakespeare to Second Life. Second Life is the simulation game, as some people call it. It's not a game, but where you can simulate Second Life, really. As we are fond of saying, the Shakespeare's Quarto Archive, funded by a joint grant program administered by the United Kingdom's Joint Information Systems Committee and the National Endowment for the Humanities, makes a searchable digital facsimile of each of the 32 extant quarto copies of Hamlet available online. So that's one part. And I certainly recommend that you go to the Shakespeare's Quarto Archive. It's really, really valuable archival work. And you can make all those connections that you would never have been able to make. So the other part, of course, which Kirschenbaum mentions, is that he also talks about the Preserving Virtual Worlds project. So he's talking about developing and testing standards and best practices for archiving and ensuring future access to computer games, interactive fictions and virtual communities. So it's also about digital cultures. So it's not just that we are using our digital tools to archive what was there, some set ideas of knowledge, old words, new tools to archive old words. Rather, we are also engaging with the culture of using these tools. We are actually admitting to the fact that they're making us, they're actually kind of affecting what we are. Although now, if you look at the Digital Humanities Manifesto 2.0, or I think there's a 3.0 now, there is a far greater focus on digital cultures, right, than there used to be back in them days. Of course, there are other people like Lockers who say that some, including Matthew Kirschenbaum, think that ambiguity is a good thing. I'm not as certain. Do video analysis and stylometry really make good fellows, bedfellows? And why not? Because, instead of some easy, happy certainties which miss out quite a lot in the digital spectrum, I would rather prefer the ambiguity and the multiplicity that the digital brings within itself. So, I have a couple more quotes here. The computer, through its possibilities for interactivity, play, and the creativity of hypertext, is now rapidly undoing that idealization of stability and returning us to a kind of technology which we have more in common with the pre-print era. Okay. And Umberto Eco, famously in his book, This Is Not the End of the Book, says that then there are USB sticks and other ways of storing and carrying information. These two are nothing new. At the end of the 18th century, the upper classes would pack a small library in trunks and take them in their travels. So a USB stick is like a trunk full of books. No, sorry. So my question is really, although I take into account Soddy and Rhodes' point in the Renaissance Computer about the digital tools making our idea of the humanities more playful, but I don't think that it's just as easy as it's like old words and new tools, because I think the new tools already influence the words once we say them. But just to still to kind of, because for purposes of talking about this, we need to bring in categories. I look at text-based analysis as one category, archives and texts as one category. And the other, in this I see the Shakespeare's Quarto Archive, the Vichitra online Tagore Variorum, which is, I think, the first of its kind made in India. And when I'm talking about the archive, I'll come to the other part, which is digital cultures, later. When I'm talking about the archive, I'm also kind of looking at Jacques Derrida when he says the technical structure of the archiving archive also determines the structure of the archivable contents, even as it comes into existence and its relationship to the future. What he is trying to say here is extremely important, that the technical structure itself actually influences the archivable contents, just even as it is kind of coming into existence. So it is originary technicity. It also influences us, really. You see, for example, if you consider the Vichitra, for example, Vichitra is an excellent archive, but it is not just an archive. It cannot be compared to a paper archive just like that, and only that. Because by itself, in the very conception of making it searchable in the ways it does, making all the connections, it is already a different thing. It is already at one remove. At the same time, kind of being like any, I'm sure, other archives that of Rabindranath's work, right? But the technical structure has already kind of affected the archivable contents. So, as I was saying then, beyond the digital archives, beyond the traditional idea of digital humanities as digital technologies illuminating the human record, I would personally want to see reading and analysis of digital cultures as well. For example, I will end with a question. When you have something, you call something digital humanities, why does most of the research around it center around digital literature or digital English literature? Most of the digital humanities courses come in English literature departments the world over. What happens to the digital political science, digital history, digital philosophy, digital what have you? So the humanities in other respects, I mean, even when if you look at the literae humaniores in the Renaissance, the trivium and the quadrivium, I mean, they constitute different areas of inquiry. Obviously, literature doesn't figure in such terms in Renaissance, but they are not. When you call something the humanities, you have an entire gamut of areas that you look at. So why then do we just constrain ourselves to digitization and digital analysis of the archive? So to kind of stretch this to its present kind of term, the digital humanities, I think we should look at the other element which is now becoming extremely relevant in discussions around the world on DH 2.0, 3.0, digital culture.